So love to welcome you guys all to our webinar today on our auxiliary input information. And my name is Barb Stearns, and I've probably met most of you, at least by phone. So I'm going to go over a few things today, and then, if there's any questions, there's a spot at the bottom of your little GoToMeeting bar where you can put in questions if you'd like, which we can deal with right away, or I can certainly connect with you afterwards. If we go through something that you want more information on as well, that doesn't have anything to do with this, just give me a call at the office or send me an email and we can go over that as well. So today, like I said, we're going over PTO information. So I'm not in our own portal. This isn't the Nero portal because we don't have any vehicles that have auxiliary power. So what I'm doing is using someone else's portal so that we can look at everything and see what's happening. So the first thing I'd like to cover is on the Reports tab is your auxiliary input duration report. Okay, so as you see, when we put our mouse over there, it tells us it provides a summary of when, where, and for how long, and by which items auxiliary inputs were used. So this would probably be your sort of go-to report. So when we do choose that, then sometimes you'll have more than one option here, like we do. We have PTO on one and PTO on. It has to do with sometimes the PTO on different vehicles is inverted, so we have to have different programming, different scenarios on different vehicles. So that's sometimes why more than one would show up. So I want to choose PTO on, and I want to choose the corresponding PTO off. So it's going to give me reporting. I can select all of my vehicles. I can determine how long, so I can show durations longer than, and I can be really specific, like if yours are turning off and on and turning off and on, but you only want to know everything that's over 30 minutes, then just accordingly. I'll just do this as 5 seconds to give us a idea of what it does. Your descending ascending just means where's the beginning of the report. I leave it on descending because that's the default, so it means the bottom is going to be the start of the day and then it's going to work up. I have the ability to group the data by items, so this is going to sort by vehicle, or I could sort it by date and time and then it would group the vehicles together. And so I'm just going to pull yesterday just for an example, but again, like all of our reports, you can, pull specific days as well. Let me just click on Create Report, and then it gives me my information. It's going to give me a summary. Total number of those input events is 131. Total time that the input, 13 hours and 41 minutes. And the average input duration is 6 minutes. So it gives you just a real quick summary over here, and then because we've asked for it by item, grouped by item, it breaks it down. So here's vehicle A4. It had 9 events. This is how long it was on yesterday, and this is what the average time was. So you can quickly get a snapshot too of, what's happened with your vehicles. Is that realistic? Here we've got vehicle 6 that hasn't been on at all. If for any reason you knew that vehicle was out and it was using its PTO, that would be like, okay, so there's a problem here. It's not reporting properly. It needs to be looked into. But when you get your events, so yesterday was the 15th, so from 3:25 p.m. until 3:27 p.m., so a duration time of 2 minutes, it was at this address in Whistler, and this is where it ended. Now, different types of vehicles have different PTOs. This is a towing company, so their vehicles are really not moving when the PTOs are on. Other companies have PTOs that actually run while the vehicles are moving. So there would be a starting address of when it turned on. For an example, a snowplow. Here's where it would turn on, and this is where it was the auxiliary power was turned off, a sweeper, right? So, and different companies are going to use it a little bit differently, but you can just see it's broken every vehicle down, and I get all that information. Now this information can be then printed if I want, or I can export it into an Excel file and keep it. Okay, you have access, just as everything else in here, to the last 4 months worth of data. This specific report, you're not able to have a scheduled report for it. So if you do want to regularly keep this information, you do have to pull it, you know, once a week, or have someone pull it once a month and then print it or export it in order to keep that information long term and to basically back up that information. Okay, so that's your auxiliary input duration report. So that's telling you when the PTO was running and how long and where they were. Okay, so another place we can look is in our event details report. So when we click on the event details report, like I refer to this as the you can get everything in here report. So I can choose any of the vehicles. It's always going to, you know, default to being everything checked. So I'll check select all events to, it's your inputs that this will record. And I'm just going to again say for yesterday. And I can only pull one vehicle at a time on here. But if I create this report, so this is giving me the information on my A4, and it's telling me that it's been opened 9 times, closed 9 times. So PTO on and PTO off. My PTO on is closed. So it tells me the time and the nearest address where that happened. So gives you some of the information, and you would need to calculate it. This report can actually be, though, a scheduled report that I can have emailed to me. And now my computer is going to be slow, of course. So I can have this emailed to me daily or weekly, but it's, you know, as you can see, it's very different from the auxiliary duration, because I would have to calculate if I needed to know how long anything was open. But it does give me the details if I wanted to not be pulling the other one long term. So now we're just waiting for this to reset. Apparently my data is being really slow. So the next thing I'm going to show you is a, I'll just show you on our map view while we're waiting for that. So what we can do when we're on, this is the main map view that you select off of your home page, and this is the map that you can have open all day and running all day and won't time out and does refresh every minute. So I pulled up all the vehicles, and what this tells me when I click on the vehicle is my PTO is off. So not only does it tell me all this other information, but it will indicate whether the PTO is on or off. I can use my declutter button to spread these out and just see a little better. This one says PTO off, right? So it's going to give that information right here by clicking on any of the vehicles. Okay, so that's great for a quick glance when you have your map open. And the other place we have is our route log. So if I want to pull vehicle A4 for yesterday, now again, the route log shows you everything. Shows you every start, every stop, every locate that the beacon does. It shows every time the PTO was turned on and every time it was turned off. And you know what I did? I So this is the way we would pull it normally, and we can see exactly where the vehicle has been. I'm just going to pull it again. So instead of just pulling it like that, I have this little button here that says Display Input State. So when I check this, then I get to choose which it's going to tell me as well which the state by colors, and I'll show you as we pull it. So I'm going to pull the same thing for yesterday and create the report. Oops, I forgot to check that. That was really helpful. So check the box. Here's the PTO on and off. Okay, so it's going to give me a bit of a legend here. It's going to give me everything in details, you know, step by step over on this side. And it's going to give me, orange would be there was no input data. Any black icons on my map mean the input was off, and the pink means the input was on. Now, I pulled a whole day. You can pull a portion of a day. You don't have to pull the whole thing, which has tons of information. Your declutter button spreads them out. It's going to make this wonderful, beautiful flower. Now, again, because this is a towing company, like I said, their PTOs are turned off and on when they're in the same spot. So I'm just going to uncheck that, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to zoom into one area here so that you can see a little bit better. When your vehicle is actually moving, you could see as it goes the route, you can see that the PTO was on. So this vehicle actually is a bit different than the majority of theirs, that the PTO was on while they were moving. Right? And if you zoom into other areas, you know, you can, lots of times they get covered up because, you know, the vehicle PTO is turned on and the vehicle hasn't moved, so it's doing locates at the same spot as. So this is a much more effective when your vehicles do move and the PTO is on. So you can see the difference though, but in order to see everything, we can go back to our best fit and you get the idea. And then when we did the declutter button, you can see other areas where, you know, here's where the PTO was on too. Okay, so that just gives you to be able to put it on a map. Every single one of these icons relates to on the side here. I can click on any of these in the blue and then it would zoom us right into that one. And you can see where the PTO was off and where it was on. So that gives you an idea of your report, your auxiliary power report, that to be able to tell the duration, your event details that at least tells you when it was on and off, that can be automatically emailed to you. And then this great thing on, this is the route log that allows you to see actually on the map when the auxiliary power was running and when it wasn't. Okay, so if there are any questions, you're welcome to enter them now. And otherwise, you know, we'll just end the webinar today, and thank you for joining us.